Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. And today I am delighted because there's a new Incineroar card. And it's really good. Now, to be fair, I know I always say that. I know that I told you that the Fire-type GX was going to be really good. I still stand by the potential that had it. It was never proven. Did win a League Cup, though, link in the description. And I know I told you that the Darkness type would be really good. Although, to be fair, that is proving to be pretty good in Greninja and Zoroark decks. Again, I'll pop a link to that video in the description. I know I am biased towards Incineroar. I get it. But I still think this is going to be a really good card. Starting off, it's got 160 HP, which is about standard nowadays. That's what Empoleon has. You've got a retreat cost of 2, which is really annoying. A weakness to water, which is fine. Articuno is probably the most relevant one lately, and that's actually going to be 20 damage short, which is quite nice. And you are a Fire-type Pokemon, and we've seen a lot of love for Fire-type Pokemon lately. We got Heat Factory Prism Star, which lets you draw cards. And we've got Welder that lets you attach extra energy. And we're hitting weakness on Celebi and Venusaur, which is really good right now, incidentally. And then metal stuff like Duskmane the Crowsmane. It's a good time, a really good time to be a Fire-type Pokemon. But that's not actually what this card is all about. Because you might be attacking, it's got a decent attack. But make no mistake about it, it is the ability here that we are primarily concerned with. The ability says, all of your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more to your opponent's active Pokemon, but you can only add 30 damage using Incineroar's ability. This does not stack. So you can have 4 Incineroar out, and you still only get to do an extra 30 damage. Think of it like Magnezone. Magnezone will let you play a second supporter, but you can't get a third Magnezone out and play a third supporter. This is a once per game deal. You can have it, and when it goes down you can replace it, but you do not get others. Obviously, if you could get 4 Incineroar out. All of your attacks would be doing an extra 120, and there would be perfectly bland, ordinary Pokemon that would do ridiculous damage. Something like a non-GX Buzzwole would be hitting 140 before it brought stuff in like Choice Band and Diancie. Clearly, that would be silly. But you're still adding 30 damage to the attacks of any of your Pokemon. That's really, really relevant. It's impossible for me to go through all of the different possibilities here. It's just never going to work unless I sit here for an hour and go through, well, it would take more than an hour, incidentally, but it would take me a very long time to go through every possibility. We can't do that. But there are so many times you're just a little bit away from getting a key KO, and Incineroar comes in and they're like, yeah, you're fine. Let's take something like a Buzzwole. If you're hitting weakness against Zoroark, not a problem. It's going down. We're talking a second attack here. With a Choice Band, you will get something like a Blacephalon, because you'll be up to 190. And then you've got Diancie Prism Star, which puts you up to 210. And all kinds of stuff like Lycanroc will be going down. But then stuff like Gardevoir's sitting there, and Gardevoir's like, well, I got 230. With Choice Band, you're up to 190. Diancie, you're up to 210. You ain't hitting up to 230. But Incineroar means you're hitting up to 240, and even stuff like Decidueye is going down, as well as your Gardevoir here. And that's what Incineroar does. If you want proof of how ridiculous this ability can be, Choice Band. Choice Band is a staple in essentially every deck in the format, because it does an extra 30 damage. And it's a tool, so it can be removed with Field Blower. And it stops you playing other tools. And it only works against EXs and GXs. It does not work against non-EXs, non-GXs. This does the same amount of extra damage, can be used in conjunction with Choice Band, does an extra 30 to all Pokemon, and cannot be removed with a field blower. Now, incidentally, this is a really difficult ability to turn off. Alolan Muck won't work, you're not a basic. Glaceon won't work, you're not a GX. Slacking will work if anyone's playing Slacking, and the chances are you're probably not going to be playing against many Slacking decks. There are a couple out there, but shall we say Slacking is not a force in the Pokemon TCG at the moment. It's not something we're terribly worried about. It ain't ruling things. So, although it is possible to turn off this ability, the reality is this ability is not being turned off. Now, I'm sitting here listing all the ways it's better than Choice Band, and in many ways it is, but it's still an ability on a Stage 2 Pokemon. It's not ideal. Either you've got to play both the basic and the Stage 1 and the Stage 2, or you've got to be playing stuff like Rare Candy. So I don't know if you would play this in something like a Buzzwole deck. But let's say you were playing a Gardevoir deck. Well, in a Gardevoir deck, you're probably playing Alolan Ninetales. The GX attack letting you get a one-hit KO on Ultra Beast is great, and you're playing the right energy because of Gardevoir, and the ability lets you search for 2 item cards and put them in your hand, and you could grab stuff like Max Potion, but in the early game, you're probably grabbing Rare Candy to make sure you get that turn 2 Gardevoir. This is a thing that we see quite a lot. In Stage 2 decks, whether they're fairy or not, you're probably playing Alolan Ninetales, because Alolan Vulpix searches out your Pokemon, Alolan Ninetales searches out your Rare Candy, and then you can essentially guarantee at least 1, but a lot of the time 2, Stage 2s on your second turn. So if you're playing that anyway, what's to stop you just playing a 1-0-1 Incineroar line? Just play 1 Litten, 1 Incineroar, you're already playing the Rare Candy. You're already playing the Alolan Ninetales, so just pop this in as well. And yeah, there's going to be games where Litten's prized. And yeah, there's going to be games where Incineroar's prized. But when neither of them are prized, this can give you a cheeky advantage. Like I've said, Alolan Vulpix will search out your Incineroar, so the fact you're only playing 1 isn't an issue. Alolan Ninetales will search out your Rare Candy, and then maybe you play Professor Realm's Lecture, so that you can go and search out your single Litten. And all of a sudden, this does not look as inconsistent as it should. A couple of years ago, yes, the idea of playing a 1-0-1 Stage 2 line as a tech would be ridiculous. That's just not what you would do. But nowadays, with Alolan Ninetales and Alolan Vulpix, and Professor Realm's Lecture, things are very, very different. I don't think decks that aren't already playing Stage 2s are going to find room for this, because having to play the Rare Candy and all becomes too awkward. But I think any deck that's playing Stage 2s and playing Alolan Ninetales really has to seriously consider playing this. Because they're probably playing a Professor Realm's Lecture, or they're probably playing a bunch of Nest Ball and a bunch of Ultra Ball. It's not going to be that difficult to find the Litten. And then between Alolan Vulpix and Alolan Ninetales, you will get the evolution. And then you're doing an extra 30 damage. And as we've seen from Choice Band, it's ridiculous. I mean, goodness, Diancie Prism Stars are stable in every fighting deck, and that only adds 20. Yes, I know it's a basic and it's easier to get out. But my argument is, any deck where you can get this out easily, you will. Now, as for the attack here, it's not terribly inspiring, if I'm honest with you. It's not complete garbage. It does, for 1 fire, 1 colorless energy, 90 damage, and you discard an energy from this Pokemon. Now, it doesn't actually do 90 damage, because unless you're against a Slacking, your ability's on, you do 120. And then with a Choice Band, you are getting a 1-hit KO on a Celebi and Venusaur. Without a Choice Band, you're getting a 1-hit KO on Duskmane, Necrozma, etc., etc. It's a decent amount. If you're not hitting for weakness, you end up kind of 10 damage short of a non-GX Buzzwole, and that's really annoying. And you're not getting up to GX KOing numbers. I mean, even with a Choice Band and a Shrine of Punishment here, you're up to 160. That's just not enough. But if you're hitting for weakness, it's great. And the reality is, we're not playing this for the attack. We're playing it for the ability. The ability is great. And I don't mean, oh, there's a lot of potential. No, I mean the ability is great. And I think any deck that can use this will. We had Empoleon a little while ago. And Empoleon added 20 damage to any basic Pokemon. And although some people did try playing it with Seismitoad, it basically didn't see any play because it was too awkward. Because we couldn't get it rolling fast enough. People tried playing it with Archies, but it was just never to be. Well, we're not in that format anymore. Some people are going to be playing Incineroar in an Incineroar deck. Oh my goodness, yes. Any deck playing Rare Candy and Alolan Ninetales, oh my goodness, yes. And I do believe we're going to get some other weird decks around that put this in. Doing extra damage, as I've said in many a video, is always good. And this is about the best option we've got right now. This is really good. Awkward. You will get no argument from me on that stage. But we've got options better than we've had for a very long time. I'm giving it 4 Wassies, and I honestly think that could be a little bit misery. But do please remember the context of I love Incineroar, and I have been known to be a bit overly enthusiastic about him in the past. Also, he's in Smash Brothers now. I love playing as Incineroar in Smash. I also love hearing what you think about these cards after I've analysed and reviewed them. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about other games like Transformers and Keyforge and anything else that takes my fancy. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.